Hello, folks. So let's talk about Instagram. So we went from uh, doing Instagram relatively steadily here at Elephant Journal on Instagram, and at Waylon Lewis, and at Walk the Talk Show for our videos, and at EcoFolks, which is our newest account. But on at Elephant Journal, we were doing a pretty good job for about a year or two, or 3 or 4, a long time. But we really only had like 40,000 followers or something. And I remember talking to a colleague, a friend of mine who's a yoga star, and she said basically a couple things. One, you have to, and this applies to you equally, if you want to grow your Instagram, this is how to do it. You have to decide kind of what your thing is. So, like a lot of yoga teachers, their thing, say Rachel Braithen, the yoga girl, her thing for many years was to share herself, usually on the beach, in a bikini, being accessible but also beautiful and kind of inspiring, and then having a long caption about something kind of inspiring or spiritual or life. And that catapulted her into Instagram stardom. And then she moved on to other things like focusing on dog rescue and focusing on this and that and a relationship and ranting about whatever that came up. And she got more and more kind of personal and genuine about it. I think she did a really good job of it. The friend who, however, kind of coached me on this was Caitlin Turner, and she said, decide what your thing is. In Elephant's case, our thing is not being a yoga girl on the beach. Our thing is talking about life, everyday life, the mindful life, life from a mindful, deliberate, but fun, accessible, frank point of view. So I basically said, well, I think our thing is really just quotes, like inspiring quotes that aren't just like meet me in the field and la 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 Rumi quotes, but are actually about your life. Like, how to be healthy, how to be present, how to deal with tough stuff that comes up, politics, environmental stuff, whatever. So we really narrowed in on that. The second thing she said is, so on the first point, we narrowed in on that, but we also began making it way more custom. So instead of resharing other people's quotes that we liked, we made our own stuff. We really took the time to do that. Number two, we became consistent. So we started posting every 3 or 4 hours. She basically said a post is popular for the first hour or 2, 3, and then it kind of drops off. 4, it's still pretty popular, even if it's dropping. 5, it's okay. 6 is pretty dead. So basically, she said post every 3 or 4 hours if you can and want to. And if you don't care about popularity on Instagram, just post whenever you feel like it. But if you do, this is how to do it. And then number 3, I think she said not too many hashtags, or if you are going to do hashtags, put it in a comment. I personally dislike Instagram accounts that share 20, 30 hashtags in a separate comment, or let alone in the caption. It just feels like they're marketing at me. So from Caitlin basically said she keeps it to 3 hashtags, no more ever. I am not that rigid about it. I might put in 5 or whatever, but I never get into those huge long lists, which are fine, but I think they're effective. So every time you put a hashtag in, it will go into that hashtag conversation. So right now I'm in a hotel in Stewart. Sorry, is that loud?
You're good. Truck? You're good.
Okay. So right now I'm in a hotel in Stewart, Florida. So if I post on Instagram and I say hashtag Stewart, Florida, it'll go into every image that's been hashtag Stewart, Florida, and I could be number 1 in Stewart, Florida, which could help advertise the event I'm doing tonight, which is good for actual life. So that's a good thing to remember. Maybe number 5 is that Instagram is not about Instagram. Instagram is about how it can benefit your career or your writing or your business. So really have it connect up with your life. And then I think, some folks have asked, is following a bunch of people an effective way to get followed back? Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the first thing I remember I did on Twitter years ago when we then won national number one in the country twice nationally for Twitter coverage, for environmental coverage on Twitter. And one of the first things I did is I followed everyone in the green area. But green is something I'm super passionate about in eco. So I would still say only follow people you actually want to follow. Don't just spam follow. Yeah. I follow thousands and thousands of people on Instagram, but every single one I've followed because I liked an image. Like I'm really a kind of, I love houses. I love architecture. I love Victorian architecture, particularly Queen Anne houses with the turrets and stuff. They look like happy castles. So I follow, there's hundreds and hundreds of accounts about that. Maybe you love horses. You could follow those. So just follow stuff, fashion. Follow stuff you actually like and really don't follow more than you want to because your feed will become just sort of this huge spam thing. And I actively unfollow people who only post their yoga poses. It drives me insane. Or who only post selfies. I don't want to look at you trying to be sexy doing yoga or your selfies all day. I don't mind sexy yoga and I don't mind selfies, but if that's all you're doing, it feels like marketing again. And yoga isn't about being sexy, and my life isn't about looking at your photos of yourself in front of the mirror. So really, just like every social media, just be genuine about it, be consistent, be savvy, work hard at it. And also, I probably didn't mention, but number 0 is don't do it at all if you aren't going to do it all the way. So not doing it at all could mean that you just post family photos or whatever you want, and that's great. But if you're trying to use it for your career, you got to do the 1, 2, 3, 4 stuff. If you're just doing it for your own pleasure, I'm jealous of you, and you can post whenever you want, and there's no rules. And I still do repost other people's stuff once in a while when I find it important, when I find it good content, but that's probably a minor percentage of the mix. So the point there, maybe that's number 6, is don't listen to any rules. Feel free to do whatever you feel passionate about. And I guess number 7 would be I do post stuff that does offend or put off people and causes me to lose followers. I also think for every follower I lose, as long as it's coming from a place where I care about the content I'm sharing, like if I share some criticism of Trump, I'm going to gain followers who say, well, this guy is, or at Elephant Journal is posting stuff they actually care about. They're not just trying to be popular. They're not just marketing at me. And when you do post something that may be critical and may offend people, it's important to do so in a respectful way, in an eloquent way, like explain what you're thinking. Don't just be like, I can't stand people who say not my president or fuck Trump or stuff like that. Like explain what you're talking about. We are democratic. Republicans deserve to win if they win, ideally without Russian help. Without getting into that, just explain what you're doing and really talk to your audience. Like, so yesterday I was on the airplane flying out here and I sat by a relatively conservative couple who liked Trump, and it was really helpful for my social media savvy because I talked to them in a respectful, non-combative way, and we really found a huge middle ground, and that's really what you can do through social media. So always remember, it's like you're sitting next to this couple on the airplane. Don't just be self-righteous, whether you're conservative or liberal or whatever your thing is. Don't be absorbed in yourself. Talk to the audience.
They're people, not numbers. They're people,
exactly.
Not numbers. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you treat your audience like people, you'll get more numbers, ironically.
I wanted to go back to the first point you made, and that's about whatever your thing is, your art or your photography, your food photography. Do it mindfully and enjoy the art of actually putting it together. If it's rushed and quick, you're not probably connecting with what you're presenting with your followers, and your followers are less likely to connect with it as well because they can tell it's quick and not the authentic you.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on that yesterday. It's a good reminder. I love what you just said. That also I was pointing out, like, don't, the consistency thing isn't an excuse to just kind of spam people.
Yeah.
So really share stuff that you think is helpful or fun or whatever. have some intention behind it, and really don't let Instagram or any social media ruin your life. When you go have a good meal and it's beautiful, really take the time to appreciate it before you take a photo of it. If you do take a photo of it, you can be kind of shameless about it. There's no shame in capturing great moments of your life, or your beautiful hike, or your beautiful vacation, or whatever. I love to hate on people who selfie, and I will take photos of myself once in a while if it's in a place that I appreciate or at a time. So we don't have to be kind of pejorative about stuff, but just do stuff fully and intentionally, and that's not to be serious about it. You can have tons of fun, but really make sure you're enjoying your life first. There's a cartoon that, like, if Jesus came back, all he would see was phones, people holding the phone up, taking photos of Jesus. And he'd be like, what's going on? I can't even talk to people. So don't be that person, be willing to see Obama or Trump or Jesus or a beautiful flower on a hike or whatever it is without taking a photo of it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin, and I hope that was helpful. If you have questions, as always, I think you can do that through the LMS.